Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another session, Rumination with Andrew. Thank you for joining as we're about to discuss a very important topical matter right now. Today I am just being alerted that there is or was a protest in the Dominican Republic against, accepting Haitians in the country. They are saying that they want the entire United Nations representatives outside of their country. And they are clamoring the government that they do not want to have to shoulder the burden of Haitian refugees. I did, make a video last week alerting you that the United Nations is suggesting that Haitians, or it's insisting, I should say, that Haitians be accepted as refugees in all countries as possible that are under the United Nations treaty or um, and have been signatory to United Nations laws and its treaties. Now, it means, therefore, that if Haitians should show up on your border in any country, whether it's in Trinidad, it's in Bahamas, it's in the United States, but somehow it does not seem very clear because the United States has been deporting lots of Haitians, even under the Biden administration. Many people thought that, the Biden administration would have been a little bit more understanding and compassionate about what is happening, but they have been even worse than the Trump administration. They have performed catastrophically in terms of how they have dealt with Haitian refugees. So that's very important. It doesn't seem like Canada also is accepting Haitian refugees, right? We have not heard of any boats that have shown up in Canada. So what Dominicans are suggesting, I heard one of the protesters saying that if Canada could, take 4 million of them, that's good. And then the United States would take another 5 million. So that would be 9 million Haitians. And we say that's out of a country, the population of 11.5 million people that live in Haiti, then that would solve a great deal of the problem, right? And perhaps they're right. Why is it that the United Nations and these countries, the core countries like, Canada, the United States, France, Brazil, Spain, the United Kingdom, why can't they take these Haitians since they are mainly the cause of what is happening there? I think that they should shoulder that responsibility because the citizens of these countries understand that the government is not going to be held accountable, and we, the people, are the ones who will have to bear the burden. Taxes will be increased and opportunities will be lost, and we have to be competing for survival. And after the pandemic, many people in their respective countries are not surviving well. So when you have refugees coming, it's going to compound to the situation, and it's going to make matters even worse. So we need to have an open and transparent discussion about what is happening. But let me just share with you briefly what is happening in the Dominican Republic where that is concerned, just to give you a little inkling. You might not be able to understand much of what is said, but the gist of what the people are saying, that they want the United Nations and their offices and their representatives outside of their country, whether they're asking them to go outside, to leave, because they understand the agenda. And I would like to ask the question, why is it that the other members of the Caribbean countries and, other countries in Latin America are not also responding similarly? I am not sure if they understand the agenda because the DR is closer to Haiti, so they might have more information, more access to information, and are more alert as to what the agenda really is. Now, remember now that the agenda is not to stabilize Haiti, the agenda is to destroy her, because the fact of the matter is that control is the ultimate agenda of an empire. And the United States is an empire, and it is working to accomplish its goal of full spectrum dominance. And remember now, we have been using this expression on this channel for a long time now. It's time for you to acquaint yourself with the agenda of full spectrum dominance. Let me see if I can pull up this video so that you can just see a little of what's happening in the DR as far as this thing is concerned. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Yeah, so this is it. I am almost there. Oh, wait, yeah, I haven't. Okay, so we have, this is the video, right? So let me take this out so you can listen to it. So this is what is happening, right? And
Haití necesita del apoyo de la comunidad internacional, pero sin exponer a la República Dominicana. Un grito que nos llena de orgullo. No todo está perdido. En el Demócrata decimos presente en esta marcha para defender nuestra soberanía, nuestra integridad y el derecho a deportar a cualquier inmigrante ilegal que esté en República Dominicana. Presidente Luis Abinader, siga firme, manténgase firme, que este pueblo apoya la dominicanidad y cualquiera que atente contra nuestra soberanía va a recibir este grito de rechazo y de repudio. Vamos a conversar con la gente y vamos a ver qué nos dice en esta manifestación, en este domingo histórico. Me llena de orgullo, no se imaginan cuánto, saber que no estamos solos, que somos cientos, miles, ¿por qué no millones los dominicanos que decimos presente en la defensa de la patria? Bueno, me encuentro con dos grandes amigos, comunicadores, analistas, periodistas, Elvin Castillo y Alfredo de la Cruz. Elvin, cuéntame cuál es tu impresión de esta demostración.
okay, so, you know, he was just saying basically that the Dominican Republic should defend its sovereignty and that the international community should be the one to take the burden, to take on the burden of the Haitian crisis, and that he's just admonishing his president and encouraging the president, Luis Abinader, to hang in there and to stand firm, right? And to make sure that he does not allow the international community to manipulate him, right? Because Dominicans have their sovereignty and they need to maintain that sovereignty, and they can't afford rather to take on this sort of crisis. So this is something that we have to take in granted. We have to take in mind. Hopefully we will see more protests around the Caribbean, and that people will respond in a similar manner, because something is not right here. Now, the ABC News, I think this news was written online here. Was it on, the date was on March 19th, 2024. Let me share my screen with you just for you to see what the ABC News was saying, and they are here sending a warning to the Dominican Republic. And this is ABC News, stated on March 19th, 2024. It says that the title is Dominican Republic is urged to stop deporting people to Haiti as people flee surge in gang violence, right? But we are not being told, you know, in terms of who is behind the gang violence, who is causing the gang violence, and why does the United States, why is it so belligerent in terms of listening to the Haitian crisis, listening to the Haitian people rather, the voices of the civil society that they want to manage their own affairs? Why is the US continuing to impose the government, a government that is, you know, of largely made up unofficial electives, unofficial, you know, government officials? Why? And that is the question that needs to be asked. Now, we have here human rights activists are calling on Dominican Republic's government for a temporary reprieve in deportations as neighboring Haiti's crisis spirals and people attempt to flee over the closed border from a surge in deadly gang violence. Remember now that the Dominican Republic's border in some cases have been closed, right? So the Dominican government was trying to avoid, but you know, falling into this trap. But it seems like, you know, that was just a charade. It might be that the government has no other option but to eventually accept a lot of Haitians into the country. Small trucks with customized cages are ferrying dozens of Haitians every day from a detention center in San Cristobal to the border of the island of Hispaniola as the gang attacks paralyzed parts of Haiti's capital. So this is what is happening. The US government and the international community through the United Nations, and of course, these human rights activists. Now, sometimes I really wonder, why is it that the human rights activists will not challenge the United States and the United Nations in terms of these wars that are being waged, but they're trying now to coerce other nations to accept the mess after they have created the disasters. The other countries have to accept the mess that has been created by the United States, the core group, and the United Nations. Something that we have to think about. But I thought of sharing this news with you because it's something that is going to affect all Caribbean countries, and we've got to be alert, and we've got to stand up, and we've got to let our voices heard, because this is going to have a disastrous, a catastrophic effect upon our economy and upon just the social fabric of our nation states. Is either we want sovereign nations or we want to live in this world order that is going to be chaotic, right? And anything goes. You decide. Thank you so much for joining. Hope you will like, you'll subscribe, and you will leave a thoughtful comment. Do you think that it is fair for sovereign states to accept hundreds of thousands of Haitians into their countries, knowing fully well that the United States and the core group and the United Nations are behind the chaos that is happening in this embattled Caribbean country? Please leave your comment so that we can let our voices be heard. Thank you so much. All the best. Bye-bye.